When it comes to new games, it's always nice to have a helpful tip or trick in your back pocket. And here at Legacy Gaming, we like to go beyond the basics and share as much as we can, so you get an edge. Hey there friends, it's Livid here, one half of the team behind Legacy Gaming. And today I'm sharing everything I wish I knew sooner about Neon Giant's brand new twin-stick ARPG, The Ascent. One of the most frustrating things about new games is learning how the save process works, and the same could be said about The Ascent. Luckily, the developers are pretty generous, but it's still worth knowing how it all works. The game only uses autosaves and regular checkpoint saves throughout the entire game. Usually this occurs after a major mission or story beat. Now when you go to exit the game before confirming, a message will pop up to indicate how long ago the game was last saved. Pay attention to this. This is an excellent feature, but it's easy to miss. This next one might force you to rewire your brain a bit. Since loot in The Ascent is all handcrafted, you won't be searching for random rolls with rarity indicators. Instead, each color coordinates to the type of item that's dropped. White indicates gear and weapon skins. Red indicates weapons. Blue indicates armor. Yellow indicates tactical gear. And purple indicates upgrade components and skill points. Only weapons and armor have any sort of rarity tied to them, but those are usually gated behind progression elements. Don't expect to get the best item within the first few minutes of the game, but there is something you can do to help get an edge. The best loot is often locked away behind doors and hidden chests, and the only way to gain access to those treasures is by upgrading your Cyberdeck. Now I'm not gonna lie, it took us a second to figure out how this all worked. Cyberdecks are scattered around the world, sometimes gated by progression, sometimes not. It's a linear system where you can just keep building on what you've already picked up. The more Cyberdeck upgrades you get, the higher your ice level, which allows you to hack into doors and chests that often, if not always, contain that super secret loot. Gaining access to secret doors and chests are only part of what makes hacking so great. Now while you're out in the world, be on the lookout for turrets submerged underground. These can be iced and will now provide you with some backup firepower against enemies. In the same vein, you can also ice explosive barrels, which will start a timer. When that timer reaches 0, well, you know what happens. The barrel detonates, consuming everything in the area around it. This is just one more example of why hacking is such a critical tool within the game. When it comes to upgrading your gear, it's all about the bounties. On the surface, these named elites are just an extra enemy, but crack that nut open and what you have is the only reliable way to get upgrade components. The level of the elite will correspond to the quality of the component, and by now, if you didn't know, you're going to need to upgrade your gear if you hope to survive on Velis. If you're stuck at a certain point in the game, and there's no shame in that, take a couple hours to farm some bounties, collect some quick U-cred, but more importantly, stock up on components that you can use to upgrade your gear. On the heels of that, let's pump the brakes just a bit. As you're leveling up and progressing, you'll come across a ton of new weapons that you might be eager to test out. Now, components are fairly easy to come by. You'll find them in the world, sometimes in chests, but consistently off those bounties we just talked about. Now, if you decide to focus on the story and barely step off the main path, there's a good chance that you won't have nearly enough components to level up everything that you want. Now, you may be able to upgrade a couple weapons, but you'll end up running out of components sooner rather than later. Now remember, there are 3 tiers of components, and you'll need to fully upgrade a weapon from rank 1 to rank 10. You'll need a total of 11 tier 1 components, 6 tier 2 components, and 3 tier 3 components. By the end of the game, your kit, including augmentations, armor, and most importantly weapons, will be put to the absolute test. So figure out what you like to use before spending those precious components. When it comes to the menus, this is easily one of the most important and honestly most frustrating parts about The Ascent. When in the menus, you might be completely dumbstruck as to what all these symbols and numbers mean on armor, weapons, stats, and more. Down at the bottom, there will be a button or key input that cycles your menu to display details on what each of these mean. We get that they went for a non-cluttered approach when it comes to displaying information, but a lot of this could have easily been kept on the screen. This information is absolutely essential to understanding your progression, so we wanted to make sure everyone is fully aware of this. Now, if you're only interested in following the main story, you're missing out. No, seriously. Some of the game's most unique augmentations and tactical items are locked behind side missions. In addition to providing you with a chunk of U-creds for purchases, upgrades, and fast travel, some of these side missions reward you with amazing augments, like biometric timestamp, which upon activation lets you record your health, and when the timer ends, your health is reset to what it was when you first activated it. Now this is a game changer when you experience some of the more challenging aspects of the Ascent later down the line. Long story short, you may be eager to rush the storyline, but trust us when we say that these missions are both enjoyable and key to your ultimate success. Quite literally, this one might hit you like a truck during the campaign, and you might be unprepared, so we're letting you in on a little secret. Different enemies are weaker to different weapon damage types. The devs didn't put those in the game for nothing. Vary your usage of weapons as the type of damage they deal affects how quickly you can take down different enemies. A good rule of thumb is to always be prepared to fight organics and machines at the same time. That means having something like a ballistic weapon in one slot and an energy weapon in slot 2. Trust us when we say this will matter a lot when it counts most. Now the Ascent is an ARPG, and with that comes the allocation of skill points. You may be tempted to dump everything into skills that make you more efficient at killing, but don't sleep on evasion. The more points you put into this skill, the faster you can dodge roll, and by the end of the game, you better believe this is going to be essential. Speaking of skill points, you should also know that your points have a direct impact on the effectiveness of augmentation. When hovering over an aug, you can see a line at the bottom of the tooltip that tells you which skills increase its potency. If you find something you really like, consider putting more points into the corresponding skill to get a 2-for-1 boost. Veles isn't exactly a huge place, but it's certainly sprawling. If you're anything like us, you wasted plenty of time hoofing it across the planet where you could have just bummed a ride. Now that's right, if you missed the tooltip early on in the game, chances are you didn't learn about the taxi system or the metro. Throughout Veles, you might find various subway stations, and those will bring you to any other fast travel point on the same level of the arcology. On top of that is the taxi. For 1000 Ucred, you can hit T or the corresponding button on your controller and call the taxi to pick you up and drop you off at your desired location. Believe me when we say you need this system. It's not that the world isn't gorgeous. It's just that sometimes running back and forth gets a little tiresome. Needless to say, Kodiak and myself both missed this tooltip during our playthrough, and we've now made it our life's mission to make sure everyone knows what's up. And there you have it, friends. Everything that we wish we knew sooner about the Ascent. With a little more knowledge comes just a little more power, and hopefully now you're ready to take on everything Veles throws at you. Our Wish I Knew Sooner series has always been about helping you all push further into the games that you love. So if you still have questions, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. If you enjoyed this video, we'd love some support. We're chasing our yearly goal of 150,000 subscribers, so if you love video games and want more in-depth reviews and fresh content in your feeds almost every day, please consider hitting that thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It's still the single best way to help channels like ours reach new audiences. We also invite you to join us on Discord. We've got a great community of around 7,000 members, so check out the link in the description below to join today. Finally, if you like everything we stand for here at Legacy Gaming and you want to support us even more, you can now do so by becoming a member. For just a few bucks, you're helping evolve the channel and take our community to the next level. My name is Livid, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.